All right, we are recording. I remember the last time I said I was live, but not live in the sense of like live streaming, but just more so like the camera's rolling, screens recording, all that. And the last episode too, the intro, I know that was pretty long, but we're just gonna get straight into it. That was pretty much just because it was my first video, so no worries about that. Let's just get straight to it. So in this episode, I want to do some experimenting, and so let's make a beat. And I don't even know if we can technically call it a beat, but let's do something without any drums. And this is gonna be good practice for, like creating melodies, and we're not gonna use the ripcord because I know I explained last time how I need that strong start on the ripcord, but we're just gonna go straight from scratch on this one. Alright, my favorite key, or scale I guess, and I'm not well versed, I'm not completely like trained in this, but I really like F major, F minor. And so we'll go along with the flow and see what we can do. And really, like, I'm almost approaching this as if I'm a beginner and I'm kind of just going by ear and seeing what sounds good. Okay, and so like I'll usually do like I'll usually do 8 bars. That's kind of how I start my beats out there. And like I said, I'm not well trained or classically trained in this. I kind of just go by ear. And so if anyone knows like what key I'm in or whatever, put it down in the comments and help everyone out. Help us out, please. I like how that sounds. And so something, and like I said, I can't really like, oh guys, well, yeah, this is in F major or what. And so, I don't know. So I'm trained by ear, and I'm just kind of doing what sounds pretty. And you can see like I'm not really changing much, but a few notes on each. A few notes on each, chord progression or whatever you want to call it. And so, because I'm approaching this as if we're not doing drums, like I just want to make a piece that, sounds good, classical, and it's kind of melodic, more melodic than anything is what we're going for. And so let's start lining this up actually with the proper progression here. So and I think, we'll continue the same trend. We'll just copy and paste and adjust. Maybe on this last one I want to go a little deeper. And as you can see, like we just made this from scratch. Like I made sure that I paid attention to, what notes I was using on that first chord, and I copied and pasted, and I kind of just went higher up in the scale or lower, but I still maintained, like the A sharp, as we can see. You can see the F sharp and C sharp, and I just kind of kept those same notes playing. Yeah, so that seems like a great start there. Let's crop that and got some Nexus on this episode. Let's see what sounds good in here. Not that. And so really, maybe we'll come in with a piano. And I've got like some of my favorite sounds kind of already in most VSTs. If I hear or reuse something a lot, I'll pretty much just save it. And so and these are some of the things I really want to learn. And so obviously I built these chords pretty much on all sharps. And so it seems I'm locked in on only using sharp notes. Maybe that was like a bad idea. I don't know. But like I said, we're more experimenting here, and we're just kind of seeing what we can do, or how creative we can get. I don't know, maybe. And I would encourage you, like, just like how we're just playing by ear, and there's no really rhyme or rhythm to where I'm going with this beat. I'm just kind of playing things and seeing where it goes. Something that I really like in Omnisphere are the textures and stuff, and so that's something that can really add some feel to your compositions, is finding not just using like pads and synths and that kind of stuff, but also like add some like soundscapes or some textures to your beats, and that can really give you some interesting results. And some of these, like, sometimes I'll be making a beat at night, and like I have the speakers up kind of loud, and then like out of nowhere I'm in like a horror movie. I'm like, oh no, like what is going on? Like what the heck? Some of these sounds can get pretty creepy. But what we're going for here is something more ethereal, or like I'm in the clouds. That sounds interesting. Let's see, maybe. And like sometimes I'll play something I won't even like what I did, and I'll redo it. And so like how earlier I said that, I'll do 8 bars for, a certain instance or verse or whatever. Because this beat, it doesn't really, we're not having drums or really any percussive elements. Like, I feel like we can kind of bend the rules a bit. Like, okay, if I did 8, maybe I'll do 16 so that it sounds a little different. Like, not too repetitive, since we really want to drive the melody. And so, obviously, I need to bring this through for. And also, another thing too, like, play with the velocity of your notes to give it like a different, like a softer feel. Or maybe you don't always want the velocity. In Ableton, the highest velocity is 127. And so, if you're in FL Studio, or if you're whatever program you're choosing to use, just kind of play around with the velocity of each note to really kind of, give it a feel, maybe like a more humanized, playful, natural feel to it. See how it kind of like comes in softer. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of organization here. So we said we weren't gonna do any. Maybe we'll add some percussive elements, but I'm not going for like a traditional beat. So I'll get rid of all the stuff I mainly use, and we'll just go through our progression. So I'm thinking maybe we started off with. And then maybe it'll. And so when I bring this in, maybe I want to layer, instead of leaving this like hanging by itself, maybe I'll layer it with the same chords, and we'll just quickly see what we can find, what sounds good. This instance here is called, or this VST I should say, is called Anna 2. It's pretty dated, I would say, but it does have some good like some good strings and pads and stuff in it. I might switch it out if I can't find anything. That's kind of giving me like a little M83 type of vibe there on that one. Let's hear that by itself and see if maybe we can dress it up a little bit with with some EQ. And you know what? Since we're not adding any 808s, maybe we can leave some of that low end in there and give it a little wider. That sounds pretty like ethereal, I'd say. Oh, and man, like, here we go again, like, save it, because what if this just like crashed on me and none of that was saved? Although Ableton does have a feature, and I'm in live 10, I think. I need to upgrade to live. I think they're in 11 now. There's a feature where if it were to crash on me, I can recover the project, but I highly recommend that you don't rely on that. And so I think I said earlier, like, I wanted it to sound like we're in the clouds. In the clouds. And I think we're at 120. I'm okay with that. If I change it later, that's fine, but we're in 2024. We've only got like, maybe a little over a week left. And happy holidays to you all. And if y'all celebrate Christmas and New Year's and all that. All right. So we're saved and we're blessed and highly favored in Jesus' name. Amen to that. Well, yeah, the project is saved. And so I think our next step is just to see where we can progress beyond this. Yeah, I thought maybe I heard some voices in there. I've come into this section here and there, but like haven't really used a lot of this. And see, that's one of those sounds I was talking about earlier, where you're making beats late at night and you're looking for something, and all of a sudden you're in a horror movie. Like, what is that? Maybe that's what this is for scoring some horror movies. We're not trying to invite any spirits in here. We'll rebuke that in Jesus' name. The first one actually sounded pretty natural. I mean, honestly, that picture looks a little creepy too. I don't know about that. Let's see. And this kind of illustrates on how, even from scratch, we can really, I mean, if you're just getting started making beats or you're seasoned, you can kind of go back to the basics and you can make some stuff without doing too much. That sounds good. And so another thing too, so let's go ahead and go into the next instance. And so that would be, to go from so maybe that'll repeat twice, and then so another thing in this next instance, what I can do and show you guys, something to give it a different feel, is to just add more notes. And something too, like to even give the chords, like you can also maybe still go in and do a bit of editing in there, yeah, sometimes like I'll get really excited. I'll just start drawing stuff in. I'm like, oh, I need to make sure it's on beat. But like sometimes you just gotta get that idea from in your head onto the DAW, because in a split second, the idea's gone. And so maybe like we'll come into this with some type of bass, and I've got this interesting OVO. I don't really use this that much actually, but from my memory, I feel like it has a few decent sounding basses. Something useful in there. It seems as though it's almost just the whole thing is maybe Okay. And I kind of just drew that in. I may not even use that bass specifically. Let's see if there's anything that may. It doesn't sound bad, but there could be something that sounds better. That was just the first. See, I like that one better. I think I remembered why I didn't use this much. Like, was it something about the knobs not working? Like, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard, right? Okay, there we go. I feel like that is way harder than it should be. And so also, because, you know, EQ everything. Some people say that. I'm not going to lie, I don't EQ everything. Maybe I should. But in this instance, I feel... So we went from really, I do like those. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll just start layering some stuff and see what, you know, sounds good. Just progressing it more. And then I think we'll probably want to give it a little bit more progression by either introducing new chords, because like I said, we're trying to drive this whole beat without any drums, and we're just, I mean, really the purpose of this is just to illustrate what we can do, what we can achieve, and really just kind of practice our melodies and so we just want to kind of play around with this. Yeah, and so let's just see. I'll actually like arm the record and do it properly, like how I usually. One of the features I like with Ableton is you can kind of just like if you press play and you've got a keyboard and you're just playing something and you're kind of just trying to feel a melody. If you're like, oh, that sounded really good, you can capture what you just played by selecting this kind of like hollowed out square. And so as you can see, it's been saved. What I just did, I'm not going to use that, but that's just an example of if I really did like that, I can capture that MIDI that I just recorded, or I didn't record it, but I just played, just feeling it out. Sometimes you get the best stuff by you're just playing and you're just trying to find that melody. But we're going to do it the safest way, I should say. That sounds decent. I do like the more natural feels, and so sometimes I'll quantize my notes. So basically, if you're in this piano roll, you can just hit Command A. I'm on a Mac, so it'd be Control A if you're on Windows, but Command A and then Command U to automatically quantize it. And sometimes it'll put it so on the grid that it doesn't sound like how it did when you naturally played it. So let's go ahead and see. And so, I mean, doesn't sound too far off from what I did play, but it's so strict and like on the grid, and like it's so about face. Like I like a more looser, natural feel. And I think also, okay, so we reselect. If you do, I think is it Shift Command U? Yeah, you can pull up and adjust your quantize, right? And so you can go in and say, okay, I want to change, what grid I want to quantize to. Then you can adjust, do I only want to quantize the end of the note or the start of the note? And then you can adjust the percentage, how much. So maybe that'll give you, more of a humanized feel based on the amount you choose to do there. I'm just going to leave it natural. So here's what I'll do. I'm gonna duplicate this. I like to color code it, so I'm doing my color code, and then we'll go over in this. Let's see if we can find another sound that sounds good with this. And so I always go into the lead synth section. I mentioned this earlier, but that's something that some of these sounds are probably categorized in other sections as well, so it's not the only place you can find it. but I like the mood and adjusting the type. That sounds great. I'll add a little EQ on that, and then so really you're in Ableton, you can kind of see what the spectral range of that instrument is, so where you can really dial in what you want your EQ to do. So obviously if the spectral range of this sound is mostly in this area, there's not much reason for me to kind of drag it too far out. I mean, we can see a little bit going on over here, so I kind of curved it up a little bit, but most of the sound is happening in this midsection, and there's some highs going on. So if I were to bring this, like, you see it's really cutting those highs off. If I wanted to make it sound a little more like muffled, but I like those highs that are kind of, sounds like they're floating around your head a little bit. So yeah, let's see what that's about. So maybe we'll add, well, I said I wasn't going to do any drums or anything, but maybe we'll just to make it feel like it's going somewhere, like it'll build up to something, and then we'll switch over like the chords and see what's going on with that. Okay, I said no drums, but maybe we're just using this drum as a transition. Yeah, let's see what that. I think I used the same, so I'm just gonna, like, it was really just the same repetitive. And so I'll just copy that in there. I don't know what was going on with And I wonder if we really, if we want this in here as well. So really, I guess we bring in some sort of transitionary element. So what we can do is I showed in the last video how we kind of lay things down. Let's kind of start with that. So I wonder if maybe I want to bring back the choir. And so really what I was thinking of doing is bringing in some sort of transitionary element. We can introduce another section here, and let's see about we didn't spend too much time with Nexus. I wonder if we oops. And so I'm just playing using those same, as we talked about, those same notes. They were pretty much all sharp notes, sharp or flat notes, whatever. I haven't gotten that far in my education yet. And it's kind of like an ending, I guess you'd say. Of that instrument. And so to kind of smooth that out, what I do is I would bring in some sort of transition just to make it feel, let's see, we want a transition. There's actually a lot of good transitions and stuff in Omnisphere, but some of this stuff like that will get you like in a scary space, and so you really kind of gotta dig. And I'll probably save you guys a headache and skip to when I find something good. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that's kind of a transition sound there. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you guys, if you're not terribly familiar with Ableton, is if you go into View and you dance on down here, is this setting called Automation Mode, and it's going to bring up these red bars, and basically pretty much allows you to automate everything, like as far as like track volume, effects, panning, like reverb and delay. And so any of the effects that you may bring onto, you know, your MIDI track for each individual instrument can be automated and I would say keyframed. And so like on this one I got the EQ, you can get very, very intricate with the automation and keyframing. So you go into, you know, oh, I want to start, you know, start with the EQ basically turned off, and then you can bring it on. But really, if you go into each filter, you can kind of adjust, you know, this one's the high pass, you can adjust the frequency, you can like keyframe so many different things. And so that's one of the things that I really enjoy about Ableton. Excuse me. And so with this one, you know, maybe I'd go in and keyframe, give it a smooth entrance. Alright, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys in this video. We've kind of shown how to build some chords from scratch. If if you don't really, know a terrible amount about music. And we've just done this all by ear. It's not too much of a challenge. If you've kind of got a musical inclination already, then you'll know what sounds good and what doesn't. And so thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you've learned something or saw something you might want to try yourself. If you really enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, and comment, and definitely subscribe. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll definitely keep pumping out content for you. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.